All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. We are going to be breaking down the Sunday night showdown between the Green Bay Packers and the Dallas Cowboys. A fun game to break down. Let's go in and get into it. And so, guys, the starting point for this game is obviously calling out the injury status of CeeDee Lamb, who's going to be expected to sit in this game. Now, last week, that really led to two players getting a big bump in their usage. One of them was tight end Jake Ferguson, which was kind of a very bad sign for the offense, honestly, as he was forced to get a lot of check down passes. Now, he's been productive in that regard, so, I mean, that's nice. And he also does draw a pretty good matchup against the Green Bay Packers, but to me, it wouldn't be shocking to see him struggle, although at his price tag, he is someone we definitely will be considering as a play and really one of the top plays for the Dallas Cowboys. And then really one of the better plays on the slate just in general, especially price point wise, is going to be Jalen Tolbert. So Jalen Tolbert ended up getting a majority of the snaps. It's basically what we saw last year with him, where he was the receiver number 2 for this offense. George Pickens will still obviously be the receiver number 1. But he is clearly too cheap. Ended up getting 6 targets in that game, 7.4 DFS points. That is kind of what I'm expecting out of him again today. And if we look at kind of the projected fantasy points as well, we are going to notice that he's projected to get right around 7. Okay, the data is liking Turpin a little bit more here, guys. And if we look at the ownership, it's basically split there. So like if you're doing obviously more than one lineup, you probably want to get your exposure to both of them. Turpin is someone that is a little bit more of a big play threat, and someone you want to chase a little bit more probably in I don't want to say in the captain spot, but it wouldn't be shocking to see him have a big play and pay off in regards to the captain spot there as well. It is worth calling out this game is at a 6.5 point spread in favor of the Green Bay Packers winning. And that is really where, to me, we're going to get a lot of our top plays is with the Green Bay Packers. And so let's go ahead and talk about the Packers. Okay, so Josh Jacobs should be in for a solid afternoon. He should be a very safe play as well. He's been, very much productive. The touchdowns scored in the first 2 games, which were a little bit more difficult matchups last week as well, had a solid game there as well. He's been productive. Now, this should be a game in which Jordan Love just goes off. Okay, we have seen the Dallas Cowboys really struggle against opposing quarterbacks. They were able to let Caleb Williams just throw wide open receivers last week, and he ended up having a good game. Jordan Love has looked really great through 3 games thus far. -1 throw against the Cleveland Browns. But even still, like he had against the Browns in a game where the whole purpose of the game plan was really to not do what he did at the end of the game, which is make a mistake. It was very much don't beat ourselves because we're going to be able to beat the Cleveland Browns. And obviously, again, he messed up there, but was sharp doing that. I mean, he ended up with a touchdown, 183 yards, obviously took his team into field goal position to end up winning that game as well. Field goal gets blocked. Okay, but again, looked very impressive the first 3 games. Finally gets a very good matchup. You would expect him to be able to go off. The question is, do we play him in the captain spot? And I do think he is probably going to be the top scorer on this slate, although lineup-wise, will it pay off to play him in the captain spot? Because you still have Tucker Kraft there, who was a little bit banged up heading into last week's game. He seems to be healthy again. Wasn't really a shock that he ended up struggling last week just because he was coming into the game a little bit banged up. Again, Cleveland is a difficult matchup. There was a touchdown to a tight end as well. It was John Fitzpatrick. I think if Kraft was healthy, that probably would have been a play in which he scores, and now he's 1 more week removed from that, and so he should be good to go. The one play that I like the most on the slate, especially in regards to the captain spot, is going to be Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden really should have had a bigger game than he had. There was one catch that he had on the kind of towards the numbers on the sidelines there, call it the red line if you want, where he kind of veers out of bounds instead of trying to score a touchdown. And he made the play, but also probably should have scored a touchdown on that play. It does seem like he's just due for a breakout game here. And what a better time for Matthew Golden to break out against the Dallas Cowboys. And I want to go ahead and give some Dallas Cowboys fans some nightmares here. So kind of the last time we saw this exact same situation was the Christian Watkins breakout game as well against the Dallas Cowboys in prime time. Okay, it was a game that really felt like he was going to break out and obviously ended up doing that. That is the exact same feelings around Matthew Golden here, where he got a lot of snaps. He was in the Jaden Reed role a little bit there as well last week. And it just feels like the stars are aligning for this to be the exact same replica game. But instead of Watson breaking out, it's going to be Matthew Golden breaking out in this game. And so to further that point a little bit, guys, he has been someone that's just been getting open a bunch. The ball hasn't necessarily went his way. And again, on a lot of those routes, it wasn't even like the fault of Jordan Love. It was just the fact that like his first read was open. Typically speaking, it was Tucker Kraft that was open there as well. Again, he's due to probably for a touchdown, due for a bigger game. He did get used a little bit in the way Jayden Reed does, and it's just a phenomenal matchup. We want to be targeting him there as well. The question then becomes, though, how many pass catchers do we want to target? Because Romeo Doubs should be a very safe play. Okay, last week wasn't asked to do much, only 2 receptions in that game, but this is a much better game for him. He is someone that can score a touchdown there as well. I would argue I'd rather go with Golden first, and then you also have Dontavian Wicks, who has been playing more snaps as well. Okay, so Dontavian Wicks ended up playing 60% of the receiver snaps last week, guys. Had a 70% route share as well. Ended up with 4 targets, 2 catches for 21 yards. 2 weeks ago, ended up having a much better game, okay, with 6 targets, 4 receptions, 44 yards. As price tag, he's clearly in play, someone that we definitely should be targeting there as well. And so for me, guys, like ideally, I'd be able to go Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft, and that would be the lineup. Like I kind of feel like this is really set up to be a good Green Bay Packers game here against the Cowboys. Now, random stuff happens. We obviously have to prepare for that. So let's go ahead and take a peek at some of the Dallas Cowboy plays that we can be on. I do worry that George Pickens is more just like a big play type of receiver in this game, where I'm not necessarily expecting him to have a big game. We do expect a lot of those same checkdowns to go to Jake Ferguson. I do worry that, Javonte Williams also had kind of a bad fumble last week, and Miles Sanders, who everyone remembers in his last primetime game, had a bad fumble as well that kind of changed the outcome of that first game against Philly. But he hasn't looked bad. Like, people are like knocking him for looking good. Now, a majority of the snaps last week came in mostly garbage time. Like 4 out of his 9 carries came in garbage time, which still means like 5 were not in garbage time. It wouldn't be surprising to see him potentially get a little bit more work, but I do think we're counting on Javonte Williams to be solid. Javonte Williams still has a pretty high floor in the receiving game there, guys. If we can lock in like 5 or 6 DFS points there, he does end up becoming a pretty solid play for us there as well. Dak basically needs to throw a touchdown for him to value, and the biggest question mark I have is with the Cowboys, who is going to be their top pass catcher or just scorer other than Jake Ferguson? Because I think he's somewhat safe. I think we're probably just looking at a lot of the kickers in this game. We have Brandon Aubrey. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be targeting him. He has the ability to just go off and break a slate. You could argue he could be someone that you're considering in the captain spot. But then you also have Brandon McManus as well, who's been a solid kicker for the Green Bay Packers, minus some kicks that have gotten blocked. And so he's someone that's certainly in play there as well. I already mentioned Turpin and also Jalen Tolbert. Going to be looking at them. Sanders is not terrible. Ryan Flournoy got a decent amount of work in that blowout game. So if you think there's maybe going to be a blowout, he is someone that could be a sneaky value play. And then Luke Schoonmaker as well. Someone that's playing. This could end up being like the Charlie Kolar tight end play that we were on. What was it, Monday night? And if he gets a catch, he's already hitting value for us. So that does alleviate kind of what you can do there lineup pathwise. So I don't hate that. But obviously in this lineup, in this regard, if I was to get off of like Jake Ferguson, we're kind of in a dead pricing tier. And that's kind of the theme for this slate. I've ended up on a lot of dead pricing ranges where I don't necessarily love it. Now, you could just go Brandon Aubrey, but I don't necessarily love that as well. And so we do kind of have to rebuild here. And so this is a lineup that I've kind of settled on that I don't necessarily love, but I don't necessarily hate as well. It's a lineup that works out. And honestly, guys, like if we could make this lineup work where I was able to play Jordan Love, still play Jake Ferguson, but then be able to get to like Jalen Tolbert or something, I would like this much better. Obviously, that's not going to work here, but that's kind of the issue with this slate. Is we're kind of left with a lot of spots where we're just in these dead ranges. I think is the best way to describe them. So with that, let's jump into the 9-to-5 lineup builder and just try to make some lineups here. I'm just going to run 5 here, guys. Nothing too crazy here. We do have the projected ownerships in there already. Let's just sort by that real quick. So obviously Jordan Love, and let's just take the captain out of here. The projected ownerships right now, Jordan Love, Josh Jacobs, I would argue those are both too low. Dak, I would say that's a little bit too high. Brandon McManus, Brandon Aubrey, maybe. I don't really necessarily get why people aren't on Matthew Golden. Maybe that ends up being a situation where people are on him more in the captain spot rather than the flex spot. Again, because he could go off, but I don't really think that, though. I think he's someone that's a fine flex option as well. So whatever, we'll just go click generate the lineups here. So we'll put the captain back in there. We'll generate the lineups here and see what comes out for us, guys. So the top lineup right now is going to be Jake Ferguson, captain, Jordan Love, Dak, Javonte, Turpin, and Wicks. Pretty darn good lineup, actually. I don't hate that. Dak, Jordan Love. I don't know if I want Dak in the captain. Probably going to stay away from that. But a lot of pretty solid lineups here, actually. I think these are all very viable options on the slate. So it's a fun slate here as well. It should be a good one. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Again, make sure to give a like, subscribe to the channel. If you guys would like access to either the cheat sheets, the NFL lineup optimizer, any tool available on 9to5 Sports is available on the website for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. They're all included in that pricing. So that's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.